Hey, seekers and shifters. In today's conversation, I am talking with Bijal Patel, and she is the queen of launching on the internet. And I just love how visible she is, how vulnerable she is. And so I had to have her on the show to talk through what she's had to work through to be there, and her tips for what anyone else that's worried about being visible on the internet needs to do to get past it, get over it. So if that's something that's coming up for you, you're definitely going to want to listen to today's episode. So enjoy my interview with Bijal Patel. Welcome to Seekers and Shifters, where we talk to the world's foremost experts in personal growth and development and ask them everything we really want to know. Hey, Seekers and Shifters, it's Michelle, and I'm here with Bijal Patel. Bijal, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, what's up, Michelle? Thank you for having me. We just had so much fun pre-recording. Well, my name is Bijal Patel. I own a brand agency and consultancy called Launch, and I've been in business for 6 years at the time of this filming, and I absolutely love to turn small businesses into brands that make big. That's what I'm all about.
Love that. Love the entrepreneurial journey that you're on. And the reason I wanted to have you on the show is because I'm watching you dip your toe into the woo a little bit. You might not call it that, but I've been following you for, I don't know, maybe a year and a half. And I love how prolific you are. You're always posting, you're documenting your whole life. You're such an amazing example of just authenticity and vulnerability. And you're showing up, but you're also on a personal growth journey, and you're talking about that a little bit. So, I mean, tell us where you're at. A lot of people listening to this are also on their own journey. So where are you at with yours?
I love that. Well, I believe in being authentic, which requires what I call radical vulnerability. And so my relationship to the woo has always been there. Like when I started my entrepreneurial journey, like in 2000, I actually learned from the online space that it's not 2020. It's called woo. And I was like, what is woo? And I feel like it was like spiritual asterisk or spiritual plus. And I was like, oh, that's cute. Like we have to like label things so we can like be separate from things. And we're not that, but we're this. And just right off the bat, I figured out manifestation. And so I was like, well, this is super cool. This is how I make a bunch of money. And that's exactly what I want to do. And so I call it, my relationship to woo is I call it woo meets do. Woo meets do. So hear me when I say this. I love my woo. I love my do, because that makes the woo turn into something cool.
We just put a beat behind this. I feel like we just dropped a new track.
But didn't we have just like confetti thing happen twice?
There were balloons. There was confetti. You guys missed it. I'm sorry. I didn't hit record fast enough. You missed the balloon and the confetti. But that's okay, because there's going to be much more magic that happens here in the next 45 minutes. Woo meets do. When I first started business coaching, I would tell people, look, don't worry about manifestation or magic or anything else like that. What we're talking about is just directing our focus, directing our intention, and then the action steps become necessary. And that made it more palatable, really, for me at the time, but also for the clients that I was working with, because it was kind of like, oh, well, that shit's weird. Don't worry about that. Just here's what they're trying to say in logical terms. You can really approach it from any level. But in the subsequent years, I've gotten much more into the like, yeah, but sometimes that shit's just magic. And sometimes that shit is unexplainable. And sometimes it is about just trusting and receiving. And there have been so many times in my life, Bijal, where I just didn't know where the fuck the money was going to come from, or the next client or whatever. And I just believed, and I just trusted, like, hey, God takes care of me. The universe takes care of me. And something would show up from the most random place. Have you had those experiences?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Totally. I didn't even realize that there was like a whole population that thought it was weird. So that's kind of a good spot to be in, right? Where you're like, I think all y'all are weird. I think all y'all with digital businesses are weird, because I came from 13 years of corporate America. So I was like, what is an online marketing bro? Like, what is this person? Who's this character? And then, I slowly found the shirtless dudes on the Lambos that are like, just crushed it. I'm like, what Stripe? Like, why are people crushing it? Why do people talk about their revenue numbers? So in fairness, I thought it was all weird. But yeah, I think that has happened to me many times as it comes to manifestation, and the money just shows up. And I do believe that there is a God for myself and for those I respect, that there's like a universal power, or if there's a collective one energy. But when you start to really believe in your mind, like the Napoleon Hill, have you read Think and Grow Rich?
Of course. It's like a Bible.
She's like, oh, of course. We do a little prayer thing about it. Okay, sorry. I'm entering the woo.
You insulted me. No,
as Michelle said, I'm entering the woo. And so I think that like your outcomes of your external world are a reflection of what you internally believe to be true. Not that you hope to be true. Mm-hmm. There's a difference. And that's why I'm curious what you think about this. I'm not like, I like affirmations. I don't love affirmations. Because if you're like, I am Heidi Klum, I am Heidi Klum, I am Heidi Klum, you're not going to wake up one day and just be her. By the way, what a weird, Heidi, I don't know, you came in my mind.
We love you, Heidi. Your Halloween costumes are epic.
She's still relevant to me. So, but the point is when you say an affirmation, but you don't 100,000% believe it, it's not going to come out. It's not going to happen. You're not going to have these quantum entanglement moments and things like that. So I'm curious what you think about affirmations, because I feel like that's like a highly contested topic.
I love affirmations. Affirmations usually are in the I am realm. You're going to let me nerd out, and I appreciate that. They're usually in the I am realm. That's based in the root chakra. So that's really at the base of who I am. And a lot of our, scarcity feelings versus security feelings are in the root chakra. So if you're really working at the very beginning of personal growth, the root chakra is a great place to start, because it's where am I terrified? Where am I feeling scarcity? Where am I feeling insecure? And the I am statements really come into healing that. And I definitely, when I'm starting my clients who have never done any personal development work or any woo-woo stuff, we start with I am statements, because they are so powerful and they do just create such a different lens. Now, it's not the only kind of affirmation. I could go all through the chakras. I won't. But it's a great place to start. I was at a training a few weeks back where I heard doubt is the lock and confidence is the key. To your point of, you got to really believe it. Your hope is not a strategy, right? It's not about like, oh, this would be nice. It's about, hey, I really believe it. I have confidence. And we see that manifest in business. When you're doing sales, obviously, if you assume the sale, you're especially certain about what you can deliver. You're certain that you can help somebody. That sale is going to go a lot better than if you're like, I don't know. It's not going to go well, man. So in a very literal way, douse the lock, confidence is the key. But when it comes to creating your reality, you see what you believe, right? I think a lot of people get hung up on what's actually capital R real or capital T true, instead of stepping into this frame of, we all have our own reality and we all have our own truth and we all have our own lens, right? So if I think that I'm Heidi Klum, I might not turn into what you think of as Heidi Klum, but I might turn into what I think of as Heidi Klum. I might be like, I'm the sexiest bitch alive, and I am thin and I am strong. I have the best Halloween costumes and I am a fucking bajillionaire. And if I believe that about myself and I experience my life that way, that is real to me. That is how I create a reality that I am living in and a life experience. And it's like, what I'm trying to get people to is create your ideal belief and your ideal reality and life experience. Even if everybody in the world thinks that you're fucking delulu, as they can say, it doesn't matter, because I get to wake up every day and live in joy and think whatever the fuck I think about myself in my life.
That's true. No, I can see that. I think that's a good twist on it for sure. And there's probably a lot that we can talk about there. I loved when I learned chakras through one of my first clients, who was an energy healer. And she's like, come on, Bijal. She's a Black woman. She's very popular now. She's like, come on, Bijal, you're Indian. I was like, girl, I'm Indian from America. We're cut different. Take me back to the motherland and tell me whatever the hell you learned as a Black American woman. And we would really have a ball with it. I'd be like, what the hell is this? She's like, like in yoga. I was like, I don't do yoga. She's like, what is this? I was like, I don't know. Why don't you ask me how Black people think? And we would just like die laughing. I'm like, we're just switching here. But it was cool actually to learn it. Now I'm more into it. But yeah, I feel like that's a good approach of it. But it reminded me of a story when you asked me, hey, did this ever happen to you when it comes to money flying in? Yeah, like all the time. But again, I think it's woo meets do. So I believe that I have, and I think every single one of us has this ability to like change the path and the course, because money is energy. And so when you can dial in, so first of all, your baseline energy of who you are as a person, I don't mean like, oh my God, I'm too exciting. Not that. I mean, like levels of energy, Frederick Dodson, maps of consciousness, David Hawkins. I'm talking that energy level. But when you can dial up your energy and then you manifest and you do the actions, I remember I was really frustrated. It was like earlier, I was probably like my second or third year of business. I was really annoyed. I hadn't hit 100K month yet because now I know who the internet marketing bros are. And I'm like, oh my God, everyone's crushing it and like has 100K months. And I just thought that was so normal. I was like, oh my God, I'm like slow at entrepreneurship. So, by year 2, I was like, I need like 100K month. I was really annoyed. I'd get close and like not get there, which was, the upper limit problem in that book, The Big Leap. But I didn't know what was going on. So I got so annoyed. I was like, you know what? The logical part of my brain was like, I'm going to sell a 105K offer, 105 on purpose. I just wanted to like go past the mark a little bit just to say what's up. And I had a feeling I woke up June 1st. I forget what year it was. I woke up June 1st. I had a download that this was the month and it was going to happen this month. And I had a friend who's into the woo message me from a mastermind and is like, Bijal, I know you've been working really hard on your 100K month. I had a dream. This is your month. I'm like, were you in my dream? And halfway through the month, I ended up getting a client and signing a 105K deal because this desire matched with this like intuition and this belief it was going to happen. Somehow she intuited and this wasn't even like my best friend or something, but she intuited because she knew I was public about I want to have 100K month as a month. And so she picked up what I was putting down the same morning.
It's amazing how that happens. It's like, and sometimes you do get those downloads. One I got recently was I had borrowed a whole bunch of money, like $1.7 million from the US government for EIDL, trying to get through COVID. My business was super bloated at that time. I had payroll, I had all this stuff going on, and I borrowed all this money. And it's been a source of stress ever since. Obviously, the monthly payments are high. I'm paying it off till I'm 71 years old, whatever. But I had a download that was like, this money will be paid off in full by March of 2026. Now, I believe that that's true because I have learned to trust the downloads that come through.
Yep.
I have no fucking idea how this is going to happen, by the way, still to this day. And we're recording January 2025. I got like 14 months to figure it out or to allow whatever's supposed to happen. But I do believe that that will happen because I just got that very, very clearly, very, very strongly. This will be true. I'm actually saying it publicly here so y'all can ask me about it in a year and a half if you want to. I know you're a big fan of that. But I love that you do the public accountability stuff. So right now you're doing a big, like, I'm going to have abs by, what is it, June? I'm going to have abs by
Project Visible Abs by June.
Yeah. And you're putting yourself on the end. And one of the reasons I love to follow you, because we're about the same age. We have kind of the same body right now. Like we have kids. And there's so many, influencers on the internet that are just like, oh, I'm 25 and I'm on a jet. And like, it's like the girl version of the Lambo thing. You know what I mean? I'm not really aspiring to be like 25 and skinny and on a jet or whatever. But like, I like seeing other people like you, because we don't have a lot of role models for people in their 40s. I feel like we have a cool like grandma archetype of like wise grandma, and I'm like super excited to get there one day. And then we have an archetype of like hot young, millionaire on the jet chick. But we don't have, this is what it looks like to be happy and successful in your 40s.
I love that. Yeah. And that's exactly what I feel very similarly to you, not a surprise. And that's exactly why I want to be 40. I'll be 43 at that time. I call myself 4.3. So it's Bijal 4.3. So every year I add to my birthday, I'm like a software edition up. So I'm just like only getting better. And then by the time I get to 5.0, which I'm looking forward to and I'm striving for, I'm like a whole new operating system level up. So it's like something to celebrate. So I literally say Bijal 4. So I'm Bijal 4.2 going towards Bijal 4.3. And I think that I picture myself as a multimillionaire on my own private jet, going places and doing things and having multiple businesses, multiple homes. And it's already true. We already have 3 businesses in our portfolio between me and my husband. And I own a second business with him and I own it. It's not like cute. It's not like, oh, if you try to leave me, no, like I actually own it. And
I'm taking half your shit if you try to leave.
It's not take you half your shit's my shit. No, it's like I show up, I've helped build the business. Mm-hmm. I've been a partner in the business. I've done a lot to help grow that business. And we have multiple homes, but we already have those. So it's like, you start to think of these ideas. I wanted a custom home. That was one of the first things I manifested. But I made my custom home right now with my awesome pool, and we made that happen. And so I think inviting yourself to have a really big vision. And for me, it was similar to you, Michelle, is that I looked in the internet and I was like, who's my archetype? And it was all men. It literally was all men who were like running the online space. And I'm like, you know what? Where are the moms? Which inspired me to start writing my book, The Messy Middle. And The Messy Middle is about this exact thing. It's about building empires while nurturing children. And I don't mean I'm not talking to side hustle Betty. And if that's you, all good. This is just where I'm at. But like, I'm not here for the side hustle. I made 50K on Etsy, for the year. No, I want the moms who are like, I made multiple millions from my business's billions. I had $100 million exit. I've got 3 private jets. I have multiple homes. And yes, I'm happily married and here are my kids. And like, we do the mom thing, we do the wife thing, we do the friend thing, we do the leader thing, and we just do the whole badass woman all around thing. Not perfectly, by the way, just as it comes. And so that's what's inspired me, is to be like, when the archetype is missing, then it's upon us to go fill it. What are your thoughts on it?
That's exactly right. I was just having a conversation with a guy this morning who wanted to talk to me because he wants to get into coaching and mindset coaching, and was kind of asking me how I got into it, what my story was. And I was telling him I work in this space in politics and political consulting where I didn't see any conversation about taking care of yourself, any conversation about anything spiritual, any conversation about personal growth or development. It's just grind, grind, grind all the time. This is the men and the women and all the non-binary folks and everybody else that works in politics, grinding the fuck out of themselves, and it's glorified. And I told him, I said, I had this moment. I'm 43, right? So just a little bit, I'm on 4.3 right now.
Well, I was trying to say, I was like, girl, 4.3.
Yeah. 4.3. But this last year, I had a friend my age have a stroke. I had a friend my age have a heart attack. It was a huge wake-up call. It's like, look what's going on. And so I was telling him, what a leader does is look at a space and say, this doesn't exist, so I'm going to create it. I'm going to make sure it exists. Versus, oh, this doesn't exist, so I better go somewhere else and do something else and follow somebody else. I'm a fucking leader. Mm-hmm. I'm going to show up and go, hey, why don't we have this, guys? And there's a lot of risk in that, but that's just that's just how I've always fucking been. So there might be annoying aspects about that, I'm sure. And it's okay to lean into that aspect of myself. Like, I want to show up and create something that doesn't exist. I love that about you too. You're doing the same thing, and you are so out front. You are right now my idol, just in terms of just how your frequency of social posting. My people are getting on my ass right now. Love you guys. And they're listening. Love you guys. And they're just like, post more stories, post all the time. And I'm just like, nobody wants to see me like fucking making my protein coffee in my kitchen. And they're like, they do. They want to watch you make your protein coffee. And then I'll see your post and you're like, here I am cold plunging today. And I want to see you making your protein coffee and cold plunging. It's true.
What I hear that as is like, Bijal, help me fix this. And like, let's just get it fixed. Because that's like, to me, that's an invitation. And I just can't even help. But like, one of my mantras is love is accountability. And so when I see a fellow badass woman who's also doing the thing I'm doing and helping me build this archetype, we're all a part of that archetype. I'm not looking to be the leader, the only leader in the space. I really believe we're a constellation of stars, as we are with everything. Back to the root stuff, we're all one collective energy. And so you wanting that and you desiring that is like, I love that, because that means that's my opportunity to help you find exactly what that is for you. And your people are absolutely right. It's so interesting. So my project Visible Abs was outside with my cold plunge, literally my most popular story to date. Like it broke my account. I had 12% viewership on that, which is like, so if you take my follower account and you times it by 12%, that was the amount of people who viewed it. Not to say the amount of people who interacted. It was like insanity. And then my coach was like, I want you to go post it so it doesn't go away. And I was like, all right, cool, game on. One of my most popular posts. Why? Well, it's a woman who's like, you know what? kind of hate the body I'm in right now. What freaking happened? I wasn't like this when I was 20. And so here it comes. And so when you say like, I'd actually revise those words. You know, I know you're being playful, but like, since we are leaders, like it's not annoying that you've always been like that. It's refreshing. It's refreshing that you've always known what your power was and owned what your power is. So you cannot help someone else empower them while you are disempowering yourself. And I think the audience needs to hear that. You cannot empower somebody and while simultaneously disempowering yourself. And so one of the things, and this is something I learned like a couple years ago, I was in my hot tub. We had an event at my house and I was busy empowering someone and I hit this download. Like, aren't you the sweetest girl? What about you? Why are you privately criticizing yourself? And so for those of you guys who didn't see it and you're new to me, is I put a picture of myself in a bikini, which was not a Bijal Patel thing to do as of January of 2024, but now it is. And so it's like, I feel like it's like the free the nipple movement. It was like free the midsection, but there is no part of me that wanted my stomach on the internet or any place. Actually, I don't even privately wear a bikini. With my husband and 2 kids in our own pool, I don't wear a bikini. So when I tell you I haven't worn a bikini in like 2 decades, I haven't worn a bikini in 2 decades. But I did a post and I was just like talking about these are my innermost thoughts with my body. And how negatively do I view my body? I speak about my body. And the reason I didn't show up on social media more was because of my body. And something about publicly declaring, here's where I'm at. Here's my goal, Project Visible abs. That's not at all tearing down where I'm at or whatever. Just like, this has been my contentious and critical relationship with the container that carries me and holds my subconscious. Like, how mean girls is that to myself? So ever since then, I've actually felt like a bit of free the nipple. Like, I just did a random post of me in that bikini on a cold plunge and I was even bent over. So I was like, wow, are you really sure? I'm like, no, you're sure. Like, I don't have to be mean to my container. And I also can just own radically who I am and cheer myself along the way of where I'm going.
Oh, 100%. And the OnlyFans is just around the corner if we need it. And I know that. I'm joking. You're conservative in that way. And I appreciate that about you. But just understand, it's always there.
A dollar's a dollar, Michelle. So like we just never know. No,
the only feet is my next move if none of this works out. I have beautiful feet, by the way, and they're
maybe that's our March 2026 is we just like remove the judgment.
Off. You know, look, I'm not attached to the way that this happens.
We could do pretty toes and the toes with the Z at the back just to show that like you mean business. You know, I'm
already branding it. This is wonderful. This is
the pretty toes. It just came to me. It just came. I was like pretty toes. Like that could be.
That's how the brain works, and I love to see it.
It's the foot, like sidebar. I didn't know, and I feel like I know things, but like I did not know foot fetishes were like this. I didn't know this like consumed so much of the population. So these are things you learn when you join the online world. You're like,
I learned this from my teen. So my oldest is a freshman in college right now. He's 18. And
wow,
amazing. They do grow up. They do go to college, people. And if you work hard, you can pay for that college like me.
Let's go.
My son go to Fordham. And we were in Hawaii and he was wearing like full socks and shoes on the beach. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I start to like research and it's the kids his age don't want to show their feet because they think someone's going to take a pic of their feet and it's going to be on the internet. And they're giving away their feet for free, which my partner, Brad, and I found hilarious. And so now if we're rocking around barefoot, we'll say to each other, like, for free, like free feet, right? But I asked him about my son, Jack, did confirm that this was true, that they do not want to show their feet and that's like a private part to that. And I just thought that was hysterical. Sidebar, it has nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, but it was so fun. I also learned that and I was like, wow, just like when you think, like it was just so fascinating and so randomly funny that you're like, oh my God, I had no idea this was a thing, but it's a thing to this. Like, dude, every generation has to come up with a new thing.
It's cool though, because my feet are now more valuable, I guess, than they used to be. So I got that in my back pocket if I ever need it. And I appreciate knowing that. I want to go back to the body stuff because I've been working on mine too. And I made no secret about it on this show. I've put on about 30 pounds, in the last couple of years since COVID and all that. And just, the perimenopause happens and all this shit happens. And I have not been feeling like amazing. I don't feel like I look like myself. And of course, you got all your family and friends going, you're not fat, you look fine. And it's like, thank you. That's not as
It's like makes it worse in a way.
No, it's like, I don't want to talk about how anyone else defines fat or like I'm not judging anyone else's body. I want to fit in my own underwear. I want my face to look like my face. Like these are the things I want. And so I started doing an unconscious deep dive. One of my besties and in my opinion, one of the best coaches in the world, Kylie Ryan, who started out as a weight loss coach back in the day. Now is just an incredible mindset coach. And she was helping me work through some of my unconscious stuff on this. Coaches need coaches, by the way.
Oh, Hondo.
And one of the things that came out was I was holding on to weight to try to be relatable. And so when I'm sitting here valuing myself and going, oh, I know I'm annoyed. It's like, I have this, people aren't going to like me if I'm fully out, fully myself, as beautiful as I can be, as smart as I can be, as strong as I can be, and as powerful as I can be. Then people aren't going to like me because I'm not relatable enough. That was a fucked up thing that came up. And I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to be #relatable. And maybe I'm not relatable and maybe that's okay. So I'm still wrestling with that and processing through that. And in the meantime, I came up with a new motto this morning, which you will love, called Do It Fat.
I fucking love it. Of course I love it.
Do it fat. Because people are pressuring me to have more videos and reels and document everything you're doing. And I'm kind of like, oh, I don't love the way I look. I don't feel like I look like me. I don't really want to do this. I had one, you'll see it if you want to go on my socials. I have at Michelle to scale, by the way, for anyone listening. There was a reel of me that my son took in my full snowsuit, which was not doing me any favors. It was like the pants over the pants and the jacket over the jacket. And I'm building a snowman with him and I'm kind of like lumbering with this snow. And I'm just like, oh my God, we put that on the internet and fucking do it fat. Who cares? Like, I'm going to do it fat. I'm not going to wait till I'm skinny to do what I need to do in this world. Right.
Yeah. So I love that. And I would also say like, maybe, I mean, I totally get that it's funny. And I have like such a good humor side. But I also, since you have goals, not like if you were like, I'm happy being fat and I want to be this way for the rest of my life, and this is my movement, is to do it fat. I feel like that's perfect, that motto. But I would probably just adjust it a little bit. And I'm going to borrow Jamie Kern-Lina's words from her book, Worthy. And she says, don't wait on the weight. Don't wait on the weight. So I love that because that might be an opportunity for you to do it fat while also aspiring to get to your best slim fit self. So you've got like the trajectory built in. Otherwise, your subconscious will hear do it fat and your subconscious will keep you fat because it'll say, well, this is what got us to do the videos. We can't let the weight go. And then we'll be, back here again. So
we're doing it fat.
And you're like, what happened? I've been on a negative 4,000 calorie. And your subconscious is like, you told us to do it fat.
My subconscious is holding on to weight for all kinds of reasons that we've been doing into for like 3 years. It's so frustrating because I am an unconscious mind coach. I am not only a master practitioner of NLP, I'm a trainer of NLP. I work with the unconscious constantly with all of my clients. And this is a big one. And a lot of people hold on to weight because of childhood trauma, especially sexual abuse, and which is, super common, super heavy. I realize, but also super common. Just want to say that for anyone listening. And a lot of people that have had that sort of stuff in their past, they put on weight, they hold on to weight. It's safety, right? Because other people aren't safe. And the bigger I am, the more they leave me alone and all of that. And so there's all these layers to work through. And then that stuff comes up about being relatable or not want to be stronger than somebody else or not want to, without going into my whole childhood trauma, there's been layers and layers and layers that I've been uncovering around this and attempting to release it while I do what I need to do in terms of and I'm in the gym every day. People know me that follow me know that I'm in the gym every day. I eat pretty fucking healthy. And it's like, okay, when you're doing the working out and you're eating clean and it's still not falling off, the unconscious is holding on to it for some reason. We got to dig into that. We got to work that through. And even for people who are experts in that, it can take us a while sometimes to dig underneath what's going on.
I love that. First of all, and thank you for sharing that. I actually did not know about the NLP side. And so of course I'm here like being like, wait, words matter. You're like, girl, I know. Like, I'm aware. But, I'm a big fan of like, okay, so I'm a brand coach and I do this for people that are multiple 6 figures, 7 figures, and 8 figures, and multiple 8 figures. Do I still need brand help? Yes. Yes, I do. Like I get ragged on the internet because my Instagram following is not huge. And I'm like, well, do you want to rag on the revenue I make? I bet you don't, because I'm still making that cash money. But once in a while, I'll be like, oh my God. And so I'm working on building up the following. So like, I actually think that you are pulled into the arena and the subject matter intentionally. But the only way, like you said, coaches have coaches. I have multiple. I have like 5 right now. The only way you can get to the next level, even in your own subject matter expertise, is none of us can read the label from inside the bottle. So I coach a lot of other brand experts, and sometimes they have a little bit of shame of like, well, I'm supposed to be the one who's great at it. I was like, you are great at it. That's why you want to get to the next level. And the only way, just like you can't massage yourself and it doesn't feel that great, massage therapists get massages and there's a reason for it. You can't read the label from inside the bottle. So it just means you're actually being developed into your next level. So you're being given these circumstances intentionally so that you can kind of unlock and get curious and be like, I wonder what that is. I wonder what that is for me that's keeping me like this deep desire to be relatable. Is like, it makes total sense to me because I always say vulnerability leads to relatability and relatability leads to connection and connection leads to trust. And so it's like, this is awesome, but you're going to be relatable no matter what level of yourself you put out there. Snowman side, cool. The other side of you that has like 17,000 successful efforts that you have going on, that side of you, like, every part, the part of you that's also not going to wait on the wait, like I speak those words into you because that's what's coming through for me. It's like you're more relatable because you're just getting to be honest with who you are. And then the right connection will come through because like we were just talking about this with my media girl today. I'm like, hey, listen, we're documenting the 32 Baskin Robbins flavors of B. Like we're just documenting them all. I go, some people have 1 persona, some people have 2. I have 32 and I'm okay with that. Like, and I'm not multiple personality disorder. I just got shades to this. And so we're going to document all 32, so she was laughing. She was like, I love that. So
well, it's so important. And, especially in the online world and from a brand perspective, there can be pressure, I think misguided, to be like, oh, I have to be this one thing. And this is my thing. And this is my persona. And I'm this person who looks like this. And I sell this one thing. And I talk about this one thing ad nauseum. And it's like, sure, that will get you success to a point because at least people will be clear on who you are and what you do, which is more than I can say for myself at the moment. But you're also then pigeonholed into that one thing. And the reality is we're all beautiful, complex creatures. I love that you have managed to strike this balance between like, we know you're the brand gal, like call Bijal for brands. And you're like, here I am in the bikini outside the Cold Here I am with my kids. Here I am as a wife. You're showing all of these different sides of you. And it's super cool.
Yeah. And I think, thank you. I received that. Thank you. It took me a while to be okay with all of the different sides. Sometimes I would open up a little bit, but then not go to the next place. But one of the things is like that advice is perfectly directed at somebody who's looking to hit their first 6 figures in business or in the lower, like 200K to 300K or 400K revenue mark a year. Great. That can make a lot of sense. 200 to 300K revenue a month, focus on one thing, get to know one thing, build your audience. But once you're past that point, it's like the rules of engagement and all of that change. So like the bigger you're following, what I teach is like the bigger you're following, the bigger you have the capability to be broader with what your interests are. Because now you're not as dependent as like every post that hits, I need a conversion factor of every factor that hits. Because now you've actually earned the relatability that vulnerability that creates relatability, that creates connection, that creates trust. The trust with your audience is there's a trust that comes from consistently posting. that allows your audience to say, I know exactly what I go to Michelle for, and I'm still interested in all the other dimensions of her life. So that's where that connection allows them to continue to consume. So what happens for people who do this too early, which is not you at all, but for people who do it too early, is their audience ends up, for anyone, they disengage for a while because the current audience is going to lose interest if you're not just a one-trick pony. But once you get past that initial, like you're going to have a little bit of a loss, I am always attracted to multiple dimensional human beings. I'm not a one-trick pony girl. I'm not interested in those type of people. So once I'm into you, I do want to know, well, what do you like as a dad? What do you like as a mom? What do you like as a wife? Okay, got it. You had that messy trauma that came up for you, and I know some of your story because you shared it, because you shared your story and you rebuilt yourself and you put yourself back together. And I think that there's always a strength in the ability to have something super freaking tough happen to you. And then it's like the Japanese, those Japanese dishes. I have one over there where they celebrate the cracks with the gold, and you become a different level of person when you're willing to stitch it back together. And when you do it publicly, you invite people, even if they never hit the like button, you are giving them permission to say, hey, me too. I didn't have to do it perfect. I get to do it like me, do it like yourself.
Yeah. Do it like me. The new do it fat. We've
yes. I was like, I'm just going to massage that up all the time. Doing that LP coach. I'm like, love where we're starting with this. Just want to kind of put it back into the stir fry and just rework that backside, because we're going to stay fucking fat if we do that. And
right. Do it like me, whatever that means.
Do it like me.
And yes, I love this. And, as I've been vulnerable on the internet for a long time, on Facebook specifically, where I'm struggling is like, oh, I've got to be on these like LinkedIn and Instagram now. Like TikTok, I guess TikTok is off the.
What are you talking? We're talking about TikTok anymore. They're like, we're not going to come to the US. Okay.
I got so comfortable because it's like I built a following over here and now I got to move it over here. I got to start from scratch over here. But on Facebook, where I have a good following, I have felt so much support, so much love and encouragement from people who've been watching me for years and years. They're invested in me, in my story. And some of those people are not the people that like and comment, but then I'll go see them in real life. Like I was just a couple of months ago, I was at my 15-year business school reunion. And I guess a lot of those folks, love you guys from Talk. I guess a lot of those folks are like lurkers, because I didn't realize any of them were watching any of this. They don't comment. But they were just like, I love all the stuff you post and I love your podcast. And I was like, I didn't have any idea you guys were even watching it. There are so many more people watching you, cheering you on, sending you their good energy, their love and support than you even know about, because the percentage of people watching versus the percentage of people that actually engage, what is it, like 10 to 1, right?
I think I would guess it's way more than that, because your stuff only gets even shown to it gets shown to 10% of your following. And then they have minutes that they're marking it. So within 6 minutes, they're like, how's this doing? Within 10 minutes, how it's doing. And by an hour in, they've made a decision on how it's going with a certain post.
Oh yeah.
The algorithms have made a mathematical decision on how it's going.
Love and save your own posts, people. and have someone comment congratulations. That's the one thing I know on Facebook. If someone says congratulations, then it'll go.
Well, because Facebook wants to protect people's interest on, they don't want you to use for your personal branding to go make a bunch of money. They want you to pay for ads to make that money. So when they find out that you're like, hey, drop $sign for my event, Facebook's like, you're throwing an event and you think you're going to like post this for free? Dang. So anytime you try to sell something, it's literally intended for it to crash to the bottom of the ocean. And you got to do everything in your power to get around that. But 6-word comments really help. So if Facebook thinks that your audience is like engaging with you from the minute it posts, but I love the fact that you're sharing this as we're talking, because I can hear you telling yourself like, hey, this is the reason I've got to show up. Because if you did build that on Facebook, then it's just a new neighborhood, right? When you think about it, like Instagram is just a new neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we talk a little bit? We got a few minutes left. I want to talk about the mindset behind this. This is a mindset focused podcast. Obviously, I coach a lot of people through this. I know you coach a lot of people through this, of just the fear of visibility in the first place. For entrepreneurs, obviously that's deadly. You got to build a personal brand and be visible. So if you're afraid to show up because, you know, you gave a presentation in second grade and they all laughed at you and you had to sit down. It's like this, that we've got to deal with what it was. I realized at a certain point that I was okay being visible to a point, but it's like that upper limit problem in The Big Leap. By the way, everybody go read The Big Leap. Great book. That upper limit problem where I was like, well, I'm okay having, 5,000 people or 10,000 people following me. But what I'm not okay with is having 500,000 followers on Instagram and having to, I don't want to go to the grocery store and people recognize me. It was so silly that I'm even thinking about this at this stage, right? But the fear was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my private life and all this stuff. And it's like, I had to do the mindset work to get okay with being famous. Like, if that's what happens, we're way far away from that. But if that's what happens, that I would be okay with that because I would have so much more impact and my messages would get out the way I want to. But it took some work. So where do you start with people who are like, oh yeah, I want to do all this in theory, but I'm scared?
Yeah, totally. So I want to get to your part because you're not starting there, but I want to begin with the people who are starting there. So at first, it's the fear of visibility is actually the fear of failure. After the midsection, it moves from fear of failure into fear of success. It flips on you. And so when you're first starting, the fear of visibility sounds something like this, like, oh, well, I don't want to rub people the wrong way because I know that so-and-so follows me and my Aunt Sally follows me and I just don't want to rub my audience the wrong way. And then there's some chick, Shelly from high school that you don't care about, but you still care about her opinion. And we tend to put a lot of investment in what other people think about us to the point where we are not authentically able to show up as ourselves. We are scared to death from, 10,000 years ago when we were cave people. We would get kicked out of the tribe and exiled. And so for our middle limbic brain, it literally means death when you are not going along with the tribe. So in order to get past that inertia is the easiest. So there's the nice and slow way to do it. And then there's the fast and dirty, but it promises the easiest. I'm going to go with fast and dirty because this is a podcast. And that's what my download said to do. Someone else can teach you all the slow, whatever route. That ain't me. My name is Bijal. It means lightning. We're just going to get fast and dirty about it. But it works. This is what fast and dirty says. Fast and dirty says, look at somebody you follow, like Michelle. Let's use Michelle for an example. You're following Michelle right now. Michelle's a badass. She's done all this stuff on the internet. She's put herself out there authentically, vulnerably, radically. That's why I agreed to come on your podcast, which, by the way, I don't actually agree to go on everyone's podcast at this point in time, just because if it's not fun, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a hell no for me. I literally just don't do it. I'm like, if I don't our 45 minutes together, we're not going to have a virtual gab session on the internet then. We're just not going to do it. And so I did say yes to you because I didn't know anything about your podcast, but because of your posts. And I was like, Michelle and I connect together on radical vulnerability. And I freaking love that. I love that she's all about this. She puts herself out there. She's authentic. So if you compare where Michelle is right now and say, I'm attracted to that, I love it. And just think through your mind for a couple minutes, all the things that Michelle has made you think about and feel and that you've loved and you've reflected on your own story. Once you lock that in, now imagine how many of your people are just waiting for you to show up to be the Michelle to them. That's the opportunity. And they didn't judge you and they want you to be more visible. They want to watch the protein coffee. They would like to see more. And so the same way that you give championship to other people and you champion them, your people are waiting in the wings for you to show up. So I think sometimes when you remove it being personal, it's not about you. And the second point I'll make about the beginner startup phase is you're not actually worried about the critics. You're worried about the crickets.
Yeah.
You're not worried about the critics. You're like, I'm going to have
oh, I'm going to get all my courage and I'm going to go online. I'm going to be visible. And then it's like,
you're like, they're going to hate on me for this. And it's like, well, that's what you're worried about. So, which now will make you laugh a little bit. And you're like, dang it. That's it. Yes. I've done this for 5 years plus. I've branded over hundreds of people with their personal and business brands. It is the crickets that are scaring you, not the critics. So no one's going to come haze you. It's not going to be you're going to be waiting. You're like, hello? Where's Karen? Why isn't Karen mad at those posts? So this is the rule I have for beginners. And it's really awesome because it works. It's called the 1-1-1 rule. Do you mind if I share that with your audience?
Yeah, please. Please do.
So the 1-1-1 rule is simply this. Pick one platform, preferably the platform you enjoy being on. Notice I did not say your avatar is on. Your avatar is on every platform. That's the major secret. I would like you to pick the platform you like to be on because you are naturally hanging out there. So we're not creating any points of making this tough. We're not creating any bottlenecks. This is going to be aerodynamic flow. Just back to woo. One platform, one page, which is your personal page. So compared, people are like, do I need a business page? Do I need a fan page? Nope, they don't. Yeah, it's just your personal page. Oh, well, I have my friends and family on there. Okay, awesome. Announce to them that you'll be talking about your business too, your offers, your programs, your products, your services, and let them know. Okay, because you will enjoy getting paid 6 months from now, as opposed to having more friends who like you baking a souffle. So number 2 is you just get on your personal page. And then number 3 is you post once a day. It's the 1-1-1 rule. Just do that for 30 days, not even 90. If you want to be like one of those A+ obsessed students like I am, you can do it for 90 days. But if you just want to be like, I want to prove Bijal wrong, or maybe you're like, I needed this kick in the booty. Like, let's get this going. 1-1-1 rule for 30 days. And tell me that doesn't work.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And if you're doing that and shit comes up, hey, come and talk to us. Bijal, I loved having you on. I would talk to you for hours. Unfortunately, we're getting to time. Please tell everybody listening and watching where they can find you on the internet if they want to know more about you or your work.
Yes, absolutely. So we've got my socials. I'm most active on Facebook and Instagram. And it's Bijal it's at bijal.launch, and I'll give you the links for that, Michelle. And then we have our website, which is www.welaunch.design.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. It's been amazing having you. You've inspired me to start wearing clothes to make my protein coffee so I can put it on the internet.
There we go.
You guys,
let's go
so soon. Who knows? If you see me making my coffee and you don't know why, this is why.
Let's do it next week. How about that?
I'll be in Africa next week, but maybe the week after.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you so much for being here. It's been amazing. And everybody, we will see you next time.